You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Ever since switching to T-Mobile, something weird has been happening. I get to cut lines.
Oh, right this way.
Who, me? I can stream shows at 30,000 feet. And I was able to buy reserve tickets for my favorite band.
It's not just you. With T-Mobile, everyone can get VIP status. That means access to exclusive events and experiences just for being a customer. At T-Mobile, VIP means YOU. Check out the VIP treatment at T-Mobile.com/benefits.
You know that sound. It's the sound of money hitting your Venmo account. A friend paying you back. Or maybe it's getting cash back from your favorite business when you pay with the Venmo debit card. Or it's realizing you can pay with Venmo at checkout at thousands of brands. Now, there are so many more ways to answer the question, what's your Venmo? Download Venmo today. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Incorporated. Dosh Cashback terms apply.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
I'm sorry that I am delayed or I've kept the live audience waiting here. I was too busy watching the Title IX twins over there salute each other for how good they were last
just
segment.
Gross. No, I think I had the best line. No. I thought my line.
I had the best point. I made the best point. On that bone. Oh my God!
I want to make it abundantly clear. Mike had the best point.
That's always the answer. The answer is always Mike.
That was
good
a
job
great
out of
point
you.
by
Yes.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good point by you.
The two of them like slapping each other on the back so heartily.
We are allies. Yeah, let's go.
It's a progressive off.
Yeah.
Allies.
I made the best point. It's something I've never
Who's
heard.
the most progressive?
Mike made the best point.
I really soccer. Actually, I could have made that point even better because, like soccer, we've been trying for decades to have liftoff in this country. But guess what? Who's actually had success there? Oh, the old Title Niners.
I just pray to God that we get this all settled, and when she gets it settled, we'll all be in a much better place.
Go off, King.
I mean, come on.
Good point.
How about an
What does that mean?
Woman God, huh? God's a woman.
Oh.
Mike, you gave that to him, right?
Yeah, that's a good. He's an ally.
Allies, baby.
Okay, so congratulations, gentlemen, on discussing
No lies, just allies.
women's sports.
I noticed that you guys were on the sidelines. Didn't like that.
We were watching you.
We were watching you guys work.
Nah, I wasn't letting you talk.
You guys were so pleased with the points that you were making. I wanted to get to top 5 kisses.
Look at that. A good point that did nothing but turn our audience against us.
I've been making those all our life.
Those great points by Jeremy and Mike last segment were brought to you by Venmo.
Wow.
Well, since we're doing sponsorship now and we made the mistakes of cross-sponsoring some things in the last segment, I do want to say something on behalf of 1-800-Flowers, a sponsor that has come with us. I have, over the years, when I worked for the man, threatened you if you don't buy 1-800-Flowers. Mm-hmm. But I now want to show gratitude for both the sponsors who come with us everywhere and make us Stugotz in a very, very difficult media time. Like the number one billing thing in the sports podcast space and the podcast space is tough. And it's because a whole bunch of people, when we left ESPN, rallied behind us and sponsored that our audience is the most loyal. So now I'm asking our audience to show 1-800-Flowers what they paid for. Like I'm asking our audience, hey, this is pretty easy. Pick up the phone or get on the internet and just send someone you care about flowers and support the sponsor that supports us so that 1-800-Flowers may get a loving gesture from our audience that has been threatening in the past by me.
Right.
But if you don't do well today, okay, I'm going to go to the home of old people you care about and put Legos on the floor.
Ooh, wow. Man.
Yikes.
Wow.
Well said, Dan. 1-800-Flowers has been with us for years. We love them. This Valentine's Day, 1-800-Flowers.com has you covered. Order early, score huge savings like double the roses for free. You have to act now. Visit 1-800-Flowers.com/Dan.
It's not even just the Legos sticking to the feet, but they're older. That could just compound issues. They try to avoid the Legos, they fall. We all know how tender the hip is at that age.
That's the point, yes.
Don't make it come to that. Just buy the flowers, show 1-800-Flowers, show them that you, our audience, when we ask you to spend some money, continues to support us in all the good places. But I will escalate this to threats tomorrow before Valentine's Day if today you don't do it well.
Any big plans?
I have learned that this is an important thing to celebrate my wife's love as many times as I possibly can whenever I can.
This is a big day. Yes, Dan.
You can celebrate your love too.
Right.
My wife's love is an interesting way to put that one.
Yes.
My wife's love of romance. My wife's
Of the
love
day.
of
But it's your love.
celebrating
Yes.
our love.
It's your love
really
for her.
important.
It's her love for you.
I've had to be taught. No,
You
I've
gotta
had
do
to
it on the day. It's really
Right.
important that you do it on the day.
Yeah.
It's very important that I do it every day.
Well,
Well, but
more
it feels
so-
more
that
so.
will go
more so
away.
on this
Yeah,
day,
this day's
dedicated
important.
day.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you?
Have you explained that the menu options are a little bit more limited and there's more crowds?
It's like a
that if you just
prefix
either
kind of
wait
thing.
or do it ahead of time, that can be your Valentine's Day, sweetie. And we can all enjoy it much more. Have you done that? Have you tried having that?
Have you tried
No.
a guy strip?
No. Yeah. We're going to Canada.
Sorry, honey.
Sorry, Four Nations just comes once.
Gonna get that poutine, eh?
You two are going together?
Yeah. Yeah, we're broing out. Yeah, we're going up to
So
the
wait,
Four
hold on.
Nations tomorrow.
You guys got the okay from your collective wives to go out of the country on Valentine's Day?
Yeah, Valentine's Day is just a day on a calendar. Valentine's Day is something that I never celebrate on Valentine's Day. If you do so, you're doing it wrong. Sorry, Dan. I'm very resolute in this opinion. You get the worst service, you get the worst menu items, you get packed crowds. You do it on either the week after or the week before. You have a much better experience, and you celebrate a Valentine. You give roses, you do all the traditional stuff. You just don't do it on the day.
Mike is right about this. I mean, you have to show your wife that you love her 364 days out of the year. Not on Valentine's Day, though. Because everyone is doing the thing on Valentine's Day. Why compete with everyone when you can have your own day to yourself? You know what I'm saying?
And if that day is spent watching Finland, Sweden, and then take a little
that's
break,
what it is, yeah.
catch up with the Spittin' Chicklets boys, and then watch USA Canada
Yes.
in what might now be a
Boom.
geopolitical storm, then you do so.
Yep.
Mike is doing this because he's an ally.
Does Roy ever put down his hockey in the name of romance?
Generally, I try, unless, of course, it's a home game, and then I have to go out and cover the game.
I
Outside
imagine
of that,
Roy.
yes.
I imagine Roy has a hockey stick in the bedroom.
It's in the office, actually.
It's in his pants.
So Valentine's Day is on Friday, isn't it? It's on Friday.
That's the day after emo goth night.
No. So that is emo goth night. Emos versus goths. You have to pick a side. So we're going to
They're
go
different?
to a big steak dinner. We have a big steak dinner in
nice.
Montreal, Gibby's, and then the 8 of us are going to walk a mile in sub-zero temperatures and go to emos versus goths.
It's 9 degrees right now there.
It's in his pants.
The stick.
Oddly shaped.
Saw a commercial for that actually during the Super Bowl, I think. It's called Peroni's
I did.
disease.
Yeah, Peroni's disease.
I'm telling you guys about that, man.
The rare disease. It sounds like a delicious pasta.
You've been telling us about that?
I hear these ads all the time.
Stugotz has been telling you about that. He's been trying to get ahead of the curve. He was telling you guys.
Quite literally. This is Peroni's served al dente.
It's like a carrot.
Excellent work by you, Stugotz, always. Video team, I don't know how these things happen. It's confusing to me, but thank you for finally putting up in the corner of the screen that tremendous video that I'd like to be doing things like that more often because I don't believe things like that are real. And I want 4 people falling down at the gym because one person was on a treadmill. My guess is that I could watch videos like that the rest of my life and die happy. If you just put me on an endless loop of viral videos of people falling down on a treadmill at the gym.
We're aware that was a C block on Highly Questionable. He wrote it to great success.
I know, but it died.
Hey, that guy got hit in the balls.
Oh.
It was
Hold on!
either that or the handshake was my greatest legacy trying to bring journalism to ESPN. Yes, my father's fake handshake, or yes, that guy got hit in the balls. That was it.
Always funny, though.
I mean,
always funny when he got hit in the balls.
Did you guys pitch the, hey, you got something on your shirt, look down. Oh, got your nose.
yeah, they tried that at the beginning. Yeah, it didn't work.
What do you guys think about Gaza?
Dan's laughing at both men and women in this video because he is an ally.
You guys, the Title IX twins, have not spoken up.
I don't love that.
I do. I love Title IX.
Why wouldn't your life be in the Title IX twins?
All
What's
right.
wrong with that?
All right. I guess it is what it is.
You're allies.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that?
Now you put yourself in quite the pickle.
You know what? I love it. The Title IX twins, put it on a T-shirt. Me and Mike standing next to each other, back to back, just sort of like Charlie's Angels style.
But why are you walking it back? I don't understand why are you, what just happened? Why
it feels like we're making fun of Title IX, Dan.
Yeah.
No, just making fun of you.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Now we've just become the Chive channel.
We can only make fun of allies.
With less boobs.
What we have happening, let's play this sound here of Dana White. This is a thing that works
Transition.
now. Okay. Well, because from Title IX twins, I want to get more woke talk out there because
Walk.
one of the things that is happening that has been fascinating to watch is the watch. Mixed martial arts going from signing deals in an alley to climbing to the greatest halls of power where you can slap your wife in public. There are no consequences. You just keep big upping the deal. It's the streaming age. You were able successfully to grow your business during a pandemic in a way that was aggressive and politically astute and brave to keep your business running successfully, testing parameters, because you have been, for a long time, a renegade business rewarded for being that renegade, and now you are mainstream. You are working with Disney. You have all the major corporate sponsors. John McCain is dead. He no longer calls it cockfighting. You.
All we're missing is Fertitta Brothers.
Yeah! Yeah! Jimmy Pitaro silent. Come on, give me that one. Give me that one. Just need one more. Come on. This is the quickest ever. Couldn't even get out McCain. I didn't even write. I'm a human cock.
Human cock.
Human what?
We can just go into the UFC. We don't need to give the history of it every time.
The reason I'm giving the history is because now Dana White is more powerful than he's ever been. And that's a little more dangerous than it felt before when he was just the carnival barker. And he wasn't leading a sport that the roots of it. And this is one of the reasons I want to give the history, because I don't think that maybe the majority of the audience knows just how extraordinary Joe Rogan has been for that sport as someone who really cares about it when he doesn't care about sports and expertly calls it in a way that has grown the sport and its audience in a way that now there's a seismic country climate shift on Theo Vaughn's getting to the MMA rink 4 hours early for the prelims because that side's winning. Those things are winning in this country, and the hood ornament now is Dana White being right between Elon Musk and Donald Trump wherever all the power goes, and he's doing it after slapping his wife in public, more powerful than he's ever been.
I think the UFC, the Rogan culture, all of that was certainly spearheading the societal shift that is very clearly happening. We see big tech companies bend the knee when it comes to some of these things. It's everybody in power has just collectively decided what we were doing a few years ago, where we were actually listening to people that we've offended or want to be inclusive. We're going to walk all that stuff back, and that's fine. Look, the UFC, previous years and incarnations would fine, suspend, even fire fighters for things that they said. And Dana White has actually been quite eloquent when there was transphobia in his sport before. But as a part of this shift that he kind of was at the forefront of, he's gone away from that. You had an MMA fighter appear to be a Nazi sympathizer and that's at the very least in Bryce Mitchell. And Dana White was good in criticizing those comments. He was very stern in opposition against them, but he didn't actually take any punitive measure against Bryce Mitchell. And look, we've gone viral before talking about Sean Strickland. I'm not a fan. I think it's repulsive and all that other stuff. But Dana White champions Sean Strickland's ability to say these things, just like he did with Bryce Mitchell. This is very much a free speech absolutist, it would appear. However, I'm a little confused by the mixed messaging because Dana White has all sorts of opinions when people have opinions about him. It's almost as if everybody else in the UFC is entitled to use their right to free speech, but if you use it against the UFC, then he's got a problem with it. So I think with this UFC fight in Australia, Sean Strickland did draw first blood. He's very combative in these press conferences. It's how that and his fighting ability have elevated him to a headliner. But Tony, he had to go at Australia and their more progressive laws. And Australia didn't come out really against him. They just kind of fired back.
I think the thing to think with Sean Strickland is this, right? Like, it's actually much quieter than last time around than what we had when he was fighting Dricus du Plessis the first time, right? Like when all this stuff really
when he
happened.
was like champ.
When people figured out, oh, wait a second, Sean Strickland is an absolute crazy person and says things that people don't say into microphones. Now, a year later, he's doing the same thing in a different continent, on a different side of the globe that really didn't reach back to America. So it was a lot of Australian media that was coming out saying, please knock this guy out. Now, I think the caveat that we want to add here is, yes, Dana White was having a go at the Australian media, but the headline and the front page was making kind of backtrack to Dana being on a podcast with the Australian Prime Minister, in which the opinion piece of the writer was saying that he was made sick of Dana White and the Prime Minister, the Premier is what they call it over there, being on a podcast together. So I think Dana was calling them the P word in regards to, how do you feel like legitimately sick that I'm on a podcast with the Prime Minister? I think that's kind of where the disconnect is.
This is the leader of a major sport here in the U.S., akin to Roger Goodell in the NFL.
Yes.
Only this guy has political influence in ways that Roger Goodell doesn't even have. And hell, he's now on the board of Meta. Dana White has legitimate, huge power. Really powerful dude in the world of sports and politics, because he kind of helped normalize Donald Trump's resurgence back in one of the great comeback stories in American politics. Donald Trump was steadfast in making sure it was a normal scene to see Donald Trump amongst the people after even Coca-Cola came out against him on January 6th. But what I am at a loss for is how sensitive, because the right had a word for this whenever the left was offended by something easily. And they would call them snowflakes. Why is this dude such a snowflake about criticism he is welcoming? If you are indeed a free speech absolutist, then maybe, just maybe, take a beat and don't call the media. Number one, that's not professional. Number two, that's how you get down, that's fine. But you come across soft, in my opinion, when that's immediately what you go to. When you're welcoming this, they're selling your fight, bro. You have Sean Strickland there to create those headlines. Headlines are a good thing in your business. They give you those headlines. Snowflake.
Let's play that sound, please, for the audience, so that Dana White can be heard, and how this is how he reacts to the media. But this you do understand, this is a winning position to attack the media. It's the easiest thing. Dana White has no use for your journalism. He ran a journalist, Ariel Helwani, out of all of the places that Ariel Helwani dares to ask difficult questions of important people.
He has no use for our journalism. Tony does a great job with the MMA Hangout. A great job. It does really well. We love the UFC. And as uncomfortable as it is, even though a bunch of people who didn't want Colin Kaepernick kneeling because they didn't want politics in sports, and yet I see an entire card get hijacked by a victory party by Donald Trump and his cronies, I still watch the UFC. I think they have a terrific product. I would like for them to practice what they preached several years ago in keeping the politics somewhat out of it. I know some of that stuff is unavoidable, but I am just a little shocked that when you buck back against it, you either limit media availability like they have with us, or you just straight up call them the P word. It seems a little snowflake.
Let's play that sound, please.
But listen, for a place that is so tough, and the people, everything on land and the water can kill you. You have the biggest I've ever seen in the media in my life. I saw a story where a guy was like, I saw Dana do a podcast with the Premier, and it physically made me sick. Holy you guys have to have the biggest of all time in the media here.
There's a lot of tough talk from this guy, and he always does that like whiny voice. Like, look, I told you, in as manly a voice as I can muster, not a fan of all of that. You do it, I watch anyways, we move on. I use my pulpit to say how I feel. You take great offense and try to limit my ability to do that. That doesn't actually feel like free speech. Not one bit.
Valentine's Day is coming up, and for me, there's only one place I trust, 1-800-Flowers.com. Every year, I order stunning, high-quality bouquets from 1-800-Flowers that my grandma absolutely loves.
Jessica, holy I got the most gorgeous roses. I don't think I ever got that many roses in my whole life. Certainly not from your lovely grandfather. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you. You made my day. I mean, they are gorgeous. Never had so many roses in my whole life. 85 years. Holy
And this year, we're partnering with 1-800-Flowers to make sure you're a Valentine's hero with an exclusive offer for Le Batard listeners. Double the roses for free. When you buy 1 dozen, they'll double your bouquet to 2 dozen roses. It's the perfect way to say I love you without breaking the bank. All roses from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak, cared for every step of the way, and shipped fresh to ensure lasting beauty. To claim your Double Your Roses offer, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/Dan. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/Dan.
It's an interesting time to own a business in America, and here's the question we have, folks. What does the future hold for business? If you ask 9 experts, you're going to get 10 different answers. A bull market, a bear market, inflation up, inflation down. Can someone just please invent a crystal ball? Until that day comes, over 41,000 businesses have already future-proofed themselves with NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud ERP. NetSuite seamlessly integrates accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR into one powerful platform. With one unified business management suite, you get one source of truth, empowering you to make quick, informed decisions. And thanks to real-time insights and forecasting, you're not just guessing, you're acting on actionable data. Close your books in days, not weeks, and spend more time looking ahead. Whether your company earns millions or even hundreds of millions, NetSuite helps you meet today's challenges and seize tomorrow's opportunities. Speaking of opportunity, download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/DLB. The guide is free to you at netsuite.com/DLB. netsuite.com/DLB.
You know that sound. It's the sound of money hitting your Venmo account, a friend paying you back, or maybe it's getting cash back from your favorite business when you pay with the Venmo debit card, or it's realizing you can pay with Venmo at checkout at thousands of brands. Now, there are so many more ways to answer the question, what's your Venmo? Download Venmo today. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Incorporated. Dosh Cashback terms apply.
Dan Le Batard.
No one else here is willing to do a Trump or a Biden.
That's not true, Dan.
Okay, Tony, you can catch
Man of 1,000 impersonations. That's not bad, man.
Finally.
Not terrible. Pretty good.
Stugotz.
Yours is terrible. You just got to get a little redder, a little pinker. You're right there, man.
Yours is not. You're Biden.
What do you mean?
Oh, his is good. That's
Dan.
actually not
His
bad.
Is not terrible.
That's not terrible.
We got to come together.
A little southern
little
twang
Bush.
there.
A little George Bush in that one.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Well, it doesn't also feel like tough, but I suspect that Dana White and I probably define tough differently, right? Like, I think that where he lives, tough is you go looking for the fight and I can beat you up with my hands, but you will not criticize me. I will overpower you. And then you slap your wife in a nightclub because you're tough.
And we watch. I mean, that's part of the problem, right?
It's not part of the problem. Violence sells in this country, and he's got a monster business, and he's accruing power, and there haven't been any consequence other than reward for the accruing of that power. Like, it's just more and more and more power, and then you get to a place where the money and power becomes so important to people that Elon Musk and Trump are just walking around next to each other because the people, they all look the same, they all have the same belief system, and they all believe in the idea, as Dana White got to his riches, the minorities and whatever's happening with their bodies, we're going to keep their pay way down, and that's how I'm going to get to be the guy that's drunk in Las Vegas spilling millions of dollars in chips all over the place when I'm partying, because I've got the labor locked in and I've figured out sports and how to do all the injustices. And hey, look, now I've got a media partner and I'm teaming up with everybody because I'm mainstream, because John McCain is dead and it's cockfighting.
Bingo! Let's go! I got it. I think you made it a little bit about more of what I was was talking about. I just want the guy that talks tough, that is a free speech absolutist, to not limit the free speech of other people and not call people the P word and act somewhat reasonably. Look, people have
Mike, you're asking the most inconsistent people on the planet to be consistent.
They've already shown that they don't have to cave to perceived societal norms, moving on with their careers, surviving scandals that other people wouldn't. Roger Goodell wouldn't be able to survive the scandal that Dana White went through. That's all said and done. The fighter pay, all that other stuff. Dana White is a cult of personality, and, it's kind of in line with MMA. I just don't understand why this dude is so easily offended.
Okay, but again, when we talk about the different definitions for tough, right, I would never say that Strickland is not tough, but a whole lot of fighters today are saying some stuff about how Strickland was in that fight, not showing a lot of respect to Strickland on a night when a whole lot of people were watching Strickland, at least in part because many agree with all of the things that he says that are racist and everything, because Strickland is out there. But on top of that, enjoyed watching him get his nose broken. Like, enjoyed having the pleasure of watching a fight, and someone you're rooting against is now their face is just really bloodied because their nose has been busted open.
I think the tough part, too, about Strickland is he was always kind of like a journeyman guy, and then had that moment where he beat Israel Adesanya in an overwhelming fashion.
Who might be done.
Who is cooked. That's another story for another day. But he's going to start working with Alex Pereira now, so we'll see what happens there. But we can all see, or we've all seen, if you follow the sport, the video and the visual of Sean Strickland basically yelling at Izzy Adesanya, like, that's it? That's all you got? And at that point, he kind of took off, went on Rogan, talked about his childhood. There was like a bit of, okay, wait a second, there's a star turn here for Sean Strickland, and then everybody realized, oh, wait a second, he's a crazy person. Now, the issue that people are having now is these guys are warriors, right? These guys put their body, their life, everything on the line when you walk into that octagon. A lot of fighters, a lot of coaches were looking at Sean's performance over the weekend and being like, yeah, you broke your nose. That happens every fight. You keep fighting, you keep pushing. It looked like he was kind of taking his foot off the gas a little bit, saying, all right, I can't beat Dricus on the floor. I can't beat him standing up because I can't get him, right? What do? I'm just going to try and throw haymakers and hope something lands.
And Dana kind of knew this headed into the fight.
It's the last time that he's going to be headlining a card of a pay-per-view for sure.
He said, it's like, over. It wasn't the woke mob that was most powerful in terms of getting this guy off the card. Dana White said himself, like, I have my concerns about this guy because of his style of fighting, and now that we've seen what's happened to Adesanya since, like, maybe there was a bit of fool's gold when it came to Sean Strickland. DDP has dominated him and totally controlled him, and now, not Diamond Dallas Page, but it seems as though that arrow is pointing way, way down for Sean Strickland. That's fine. There's always going to be another Sean Strickland. There might be another Bryce Mitchell for all I know, and that's cool. I've grown accustomed to this.
It's not cool.
It's not cool, but it is what it is with that sport. Their
right.
corporate partner in ESPN, dead silent. Dead silent. You.
It's not cool, Mike. It's not
on Disney Plus. You can get pay-per-views, and there's a dude espousing these things.
All of these things being laundered is not cool.
It's not cool, and you should have the right to have a rebuttal, and we should have a civil discussion on this. Only Dana White doesn't take opposition as civil. He goes on the offensive, and he tries to bury you if you disagree with his MO. And to me, that just doesn't mesh with the public persona.
If I can add just a bit of context when you say it doesn't mesh with the public persona, it would if your starting point allowed slapping the wife in the bar to stick. It would mesh with the public persona if the thing that he did had consequences.
It's the only time he's actually shown contrition.
But that's good for business. Look,
it's the only time that he says, say whatever you want about
business,
me.
Man.
And he still doesn't push back on that stuff. It's his fighters, it's the transphobia, it's the homophobia, it's the racism, it's the anti-Semitism that I wish he were stronger against. Now, he did come out in opposition of Mitchell's comments. But he didn't actually take a punitive measure because, look, he didn't take a punitive measure for himself, really. He survived his scandal, although apples and oranges, what we're talking about. If the discourse is now in a place because you helped bring it there, then you should at least, I'm not even asking for 50-50 split here, dude. I am not. I'm asking for 90-10. If allow for 10% of civil discourse in opposition and not get your panties in a bunch every time someone comes out and criticizes you in public and not try to limit their access. We're adults here, are we not?
With the Thug Nasty situation, Bryce Mitchell obviously went on a podcast, said a lot of insane things. Even Sean Strickland, who is out there, was like, yeah, I think Bryce is just an idiot. He's uneducated. Like, he doesn't really know what he's doing a lot of the time. So for him to say that, like, the line is obviously very out there. Mike, what's the punitive measure that you want for a sport, right? This is not a weekly sport. This is not a daily sport. It's not like the NBA where we're playing 3 times a week.
Yeah.
The NFL, we got 17 weeks
How
in
do
a
you
row
suspend somebody that fights every couple of months?
How do you suspend somebody who's going to fight 7 months from now?
For what Mitchell
and then be
did,
like, oh, okay.
For what Mitchell did, I think you fire him. Because what Mitchell did was disgusting. Now, he walked it back some. Some people weren't all right with his apology. But you have to at least assure people that there is some sort of punitive measure. Does he have the ability to fine fighters? That's something that you can do. Not just zero punitive measure at all, because you're basically saying Mitchell's going to get bigger because of this. Mitchell's star is rising. Many people are hearing his name for the very first time. It appears as though Dana White is going to leverage this ascension somewhat on the next card. Just the same way he's done so with all these other inflammatory fighters. We get that. It's the fight game. Cool. But if I have something to say about it and you want to, in turn, limit my access, I think you're soft.
The problem is the key is winning in that sport too, right? Like you can't be the guy that just gets his ass kicked and then espouse whatever you want that is unsavory and be like, oh, it's a star turn. It's like, no, wait a second. Like you have to keep winning. The reason why Sean Strickland was in these positions is because he became champion, is because he was like, all right, I'm a good enough fighter to become a champion of division. Thug Nasty is not that. Like, dude, he's gotten his ass beat plenty of times.
Yeah, there is a value in wanting, all right, I hate what that person represents. I hate what they say. Now, they have not tried to appeal to me in any sort of way. The whole business model of come watch this guy get his ass kicked because he offends you, kind of goes out the door when you welcome what you welcome into your events. I don't actually feel welcome at the UFC. I'm quite literally not welcome at the UFC. So what I would like is just some kind of leeway here and not just all this BS tough talk.
I was new to this story, so I wanted to look up what Bryce Mitchell actually said or did, because we just kind of keep talking about like, oh, you know, what Bryce Mitchell did. Quote, here's what I say about Musk hailing Hitler. Hailing the Nazis. I really don't think that he was, because I honestly think that Hitler was a good guy, based upon my own research, not my public education indoctrination, Mitchell said. Mitchell continued, I really do think before Hitler got on meth, he was a guy I'd go fishing with. He fought for his country. He wanted to purify it by kicking the greedy Jews out that were destroying his country and turning them all into gays. They were gaying out the kids. They were queering out the women. They were queering out the dudes. Do you know where the first tranny surgery ever was? Happened to be in Germany before Hitler took over. You know the books that everybody makes fun of Hitler burning? You know what the books was? Queer books. Hitler burned queer books because Hitler didn't want a bunch of queers destroying his nation. They can't produce children. He then continued on with more. So that's what we're talking about.
End quote.
No suspension. No punitive measures. Just, hey, I don't like what he said.
Yeah, and it should be a little scary. It's some of the things that were invoked there and some of the things that are being invoked now in terms of transphobia and all that. And look, this is reaping what you sow. Dana White, certainly, when he enables some other people, some other fighters that say inflammatory things or have off-the-court allegations and whatnot, he probably doesn't think that this is the next stage in evolution of it. But it is, because you've kind of shown your level of tolerance. And hell, some people get rewarded for their inflammatory behavior in the UFC.
Well, that last sentence, Mike. Some people get rewarded for their inflammatory behavior in the UFC. Boxing, the carnival barkers, the business of the fighting sports, which is different from all of the other sports because they're individuals and it's wrought with corruption and everything else. These sports do not have governance and have loose ties to mainstream sports regulation. And what Dana White has built comes only with rewards. Like when you're talking about they get rewarded, the fighters get rewarded for that. Dana White has had no consequences to being how he is other than rewards. There's nothing but more money and more power accrued and more ability to be more and more of those things because he now has more allies and more power behind him than he's ever had. It's not a couple of people that benefit from this. It's him and the entirety of his sport.
And look, I know that there's a lot of talk about echo chambers, but he's quite literally built an echo chamber with who he allows to cover the sport.
This is not an echo chamber.
And if you are indeed all about free speech, you have to welcome in voices that are there to hold you accountable, because if you are not going to govern yourself, then you need to be governed by shame. And there's a whole collective of people kind of spearheaded by that UFC and that whole free-thinking culture that thinks that they're just immune to shame, that they don't actually have to hear it, that you yourself are a snowflake for calling someone into question, for holding them accountable. And I think that's talking out of both sides of your mouth.
I've never missed Jimmy Butler so much.
I don't think you could say panties in a bunch anymore.
I made a point to do that.
He's an ally.
Made a point to do that.
Jimmy?
Well, he only understands bully talk. So we'll do that. We'll do that too. I wanted to speak in a language that he apparently can understand.
You know, the Oklahoma City Thunder have the best net rating ever.
They're good.
Ever. They're on pace for the best season that's ever happened. In
They're
NBA
really
history.
good. Yes, they're really good.
Do it in the playoffs.
Chris Cody, yes, of course. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Hey, OKC, do it in the playoffs, yes or no?
I think I've gotten better on this. I've gone from you can't allow this to go ahead and allow it. But can you get maybe 10%?
No.
No, the answer's no.
He's told you no.
The answer's
He's
no.
told you no. Deal with it. Move on.
The answer's no. It's not 90-10.
No.
Charmin soft.
You're
Charmin soft.
Fine.
You are not.
You're right.
You are not in a position of leverage to negotiate. You're losing. Your side is losing. Your way is losing.
And you're watching.
And you're watching. And
I love the sport. I love the UFC. When it comes back into town, I might go to the card. I know what I'm supporting. I'm not entirely comfortable with it, but I have my convictions. Look, if they find out I'm actually paying for a ticket, they're like, cool, fine, free country, I assume. But if I want to go as a member of the media, I won't be allowed.
But wait a minute. But no, okay, and neither will I. And when you say you're not welcome there, how do you think that went for me last time I went? How do you imagine that went for me the last time I went?
Celebrated when you walked up and down the stairs?
I saw you. I gave you a handshake, remember?
You were the one.
Yeah.
Who welcomed me
I
there.
felt very comfortable.
I know. I know. I'm aware. I was.
They love me there.
Yes.
I bet Dan was totally normal there.
I don't feel uncomfortable at these events. I know that look, the current president went to my event, and I exercised my right, as did many, to cheer him. I booed, and that's a free country, and I love that I was afforded that as a paying ticket holder. I would like to voice opposition to certain things that I don't like and voice my displeasure as someone that is an invited guest of the media. And we're just not doing that as a country anymore. We're just limiting that.
I would like to acknowledge, as a show, community, America, and the globe, Mike had the best point during this.
I'm on a real hitter, guys.
Yes.
Back-to-back best points.
Definitely wasn't
to
every
me.
community, not just women.
I think I came out as a free speech absolutist.
Yes, the best point was made by Mike. Because you mentioned DDP, let's play that time that he hung up on us and got really mad at me.
Scotty Steiner, I was just with him up in...
Who tried to rip whose eyes out there? Somebody tried to rip somebody's eyes out there.
You can't rip me up, dude.
Did you try to tear out his eyes, or did he try...
Yo, monkey, who the hell do you think you're talking to?
He tried to tear out your eyes.
Monkey, who the hell do you think you're talking to? I'm positively Paige. Do you think I'm going to flame your garbage so you can speak? Right here. You.
Oh, no.
Jesus.
Valentine's Day is coming up, and for me, there's only one place I trust, 1-800-Flowers.com. Every year, I order stunning, high-quality bouquets from 1-800-Flowers that my grandma absolutely loves.
Jessica, holy I got the most gorgeous roses. I don't think I ever got that many roses in my whole life. Certainly not from your lovely grandfather. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you. You made my day. I mean, they are gorgeous. Never had so many roses in my whole life. 85 years. Holy
And this year, we're partnering with 1-800-Flowers to make sure you're a Valentine's hero with an exclusive offer for Le Batard listeners. Double the roses for free. When you buy 1 dozen, they'll double your bouquet to 2 dozen roses. It's the perfect way to say I love you without breaking the bank. All roses from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak, cared for every step of the way, and shipped fresh to ensure lasting beauty. To claim your Double Your Roses offer, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/Dan. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/Dan.
It's an interesting time to own a business in America, and here's the question we have, folks. What does the future hold for business? If you ask 9 experts, you're going to get 10 different answers. A bull market, a bear market, inflation up, inflation down. Can someone just please invent a crystal ball? Until that day comes, over 41,000 businesses have already future-proofed themselves with NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud ERP. NetSuite seamlessly integrates accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR into one powerful platform. With one unified business management suite, you get one source of truth, empowering you to make quick, informed decisions. And thanks to real-time insights and forecasting, you're not just guessing, you're acting on actionable data. Close your books in days, not weeks, and spend more time looking ahead. Whether your company earns millions or even hundreds of millions, NetSuite helps you meet today's challenges and seize tomorrow's opportunities. Speaking of opportunity, download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/DLB. The guide is free to you at netsuite.com/DLB. netsuite.com/DLB.